three, in the place to be.
I like to introduce myself. My name is Whirlwind D.
And it goes a little something like this.
Going way, way back to the early days.
Way back in the days when hip-hop began.
For all the pioneers, I'm going way back.
Love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when.
Listen to this, just listen to this, just listen to this, just listen to this.
Hello. Sabine the Bee. And you are listening to the Pioneers Show.
This is Style from the gutter style. Real beats plus real rhymes equals the Pioneers Hip Hop Show with my man Whirlwind D on Kane FM.
Whirlwind D on
Hey yo, this is Phil Most Chill, still out to kill. And you are listening to the Pioneers Hip Hop Show, presented by Whirlwind D on Kane FM. Get busy, get lost.
Now we are ready if you are ready.
Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction.
Well, today's induction, self-construction. I motivate fate and take no instruction. But one or two sucker, ignorant brothers, they dissect and infect others with a negative feeling. Splitting up the scene, I put it back together. Chains don't sever, stepping in the path. I'm a blast with the force of the southwest quest on the course.
So why wait and hibernate inside a climate safe, free from stark reality and panicky dire straits? Why wait to take, to create, imitate, to tape? Don't procrastinate, get away to make. So why wait? Remain afraid to state the claim. Why wait? We won't recline to stay the same. Why hate the rest and let yourself go? Forever the residue, the lime's getting the kettle.
Funky fresh, hairy chest, ready to party. Always positive and no bling to move your body. We break that norm just to be reborn. You know this climate's cold now, the outlook's warm. Content constantly gets shifted, and breaks ain't broke where riffs are lifted. Leave the cars and the cash and the crime alone. Bristol's finest on the microphone.
Blessed are those who oppose this delicate situation. Traumatic schematic, it's positive figures are still a rhythm. Go willing, their force endorses metaphoric acrobatic. Let me enhance and graduate glimpse of my new tactics. A child is born, it's born to help you live forever. Grow older, wiser, planning to see they will endeavor. So kinsmen exposes like Moses of lions den. Rally your forces, of course, to save the children. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction.
We come together to build, to fit the bill when we assemble. Regrettable 8-1 contributions for your mental stimulation. In this monstrous populace of hip-hop, fasten your seatbelts and buckle your pit spots. And big shots make a pit stop. We make blocks of complexity and tickle musical G-spots. We rock and climb like Everest, the best demonstration of orientation through self-preservation.
Better my form, I'm writing till my letters are warm. Set it with the collective and let the temperature soar. The centre together, we're all the core. Competitors left dead they're messing with this heavenly force. A pure combination of intelligent brains, energy waves contained for our great displays. I can safely say we're paving the right way with a Cape Crusader for the break that says Mayday.
Distract your eyes away from devastation. The terminal pitfalls must balance in relation to how you drink, how you eat, how you treat the people you meet. I once saw a woman who drank beer on the street, and it once was a life that got taken away. Hey, there's soon to be a day when no humans can't think. I thank the lucky stars that the children can play with each other, cause they have no issues with colour.
It's self-construction, so join the party. Build up the forces for the army. Delivery is chameleon, never let the sun set. The beats we're feeling them, this scene is a strong bet. To break the shackles and chains without mains electricity. Power tools, let's put it simply. We rise like a phoenix from the ashes. We're real team spirit in these important matches.
Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction.
I'm not the world's first bipolar mic holder. I am the last soldier standing when the fight's over. We could disappear for a year and a half. We blaze the trails, you walk the path. Cause you, sir, are a loser, a crack cocaine abuser. Stone cold on stage like Medusa, seduced you used to produce. Your juice got used up.
Roll up, get your wax quick. I take hard cash checks and plastic. I'm drastic, action drastic. Life harsh and impartial, Oscar spastic. Once again, back up in your face. Work is in progress, you best watch this space. Aspects this year on woods and pop. You know what we're under, self-construct.
I'm under self-construction like a dilapidated building. Fakes I hate, they hate women who can't wait to have children. Filling me skills, I kill them when I'm swinging like a wrecking ball. Test them all, the rest will fall. I don't battle, I belittle as the last kid I rip through. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'll miss you. Who are you? I'm Chill Rock. My life's a scorching hot, yours are not.
Preservation of the soul against the negative vibes. Suppression of some kind is like a story of life. Sometimes I even wonder how we all fit in. On this beat in the streets or the world we live in. Don't give in. Not bats are just a part of the scheme. 14 on the track, working well as a team. I like to move off the scene and get extra lean. And you know I ain't stepping where the others have been.
Took away the life, leaving it right. I could have cried when it died. A frightening death was left, the very last rep. But this ain't a child, so watch your step. Back in the 80s, our B-boys and B-girls were hanged, raped by the masses. But like Cool Mo D, he never ever ran. He didn't even change his sunglasses. Cause that's
self-construction. We're under self-construction. Self-construction. We're under self-construction. Self-construction. We're under self-construction. Self-construction. We're under self-construction.
Here's something new to birth. I've got 8 bars to prove my worth. 7 left and I blew the first. Fueled with her, I move through the third. As I review my words, I conclude that I've ruined my verse. Halfway in now and I lose my nerve. See, it's the words worth surgery to the few who's heard. And by the 6th, my balloon has burst. So my last words be, screw this tune, it's cursed.
How do I start to tell you what I see in the scene? This scene, no solar demon reaching notes across the globe. See the clothes I'm clad in, give me wishes like Aladdin's lamps. Many raps, many chaps, plugged in one amp. Taking away the strategies from political factories. Turn the story back to facts, spread the love like syntax. Building sentences instead of fences that pen you in. We're sharing a bowl of funk that's full to the brim.
I suggest when traveling from Bucharest to Budapest, it's best if you take a left after going west. For the best part of an afternoon, you need a rest. Yes, let's take a breath of fresh air out by the blue lagoon. Zoom when the moon is in June with all the humans who wins with these rumors, assuming that doom is looming. 2 winds now blow in separate directions, so the seeds of the future, the root of all the people to grow.
Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction. Self-construction, we're under self-construction.
Welcome to this month's Pioneers Hip Hop Show on Kane 103.7 FM. Massive shout out to my man Disorder for the last 2 hours of Dub Chronicles goodness. Always wrecking the shop and always essential listening. So for the next 2 hours, it's the Pioneers Experience. If you're new to the show, each month we focus on an aspect of hip-hop history, sharing the stories and tales, as well as playing the essential records of the time. Now, last month we looked at the early years of the West Coast USA hip-hop scene, tracing the stories of artists such as Ice-T, Kid Frost, Dr. Dre, just to name a few. Previously, we focused on everything from Nottingham hip-hop, Boston and Harlem in the USA, labels like Def Jam and Cold Sweat, and you can catch the previous shows on the Whirlwind D YouTube channel, as well as the Kane FM Mixcloud. Now, you might have guessed from the first cut the brilliant Self-Construction, which of course was a nod to self-destruction from the late 80s in the USA. Now, that record, the one I played, Self-Construction, appeared on the Rustic label around 2004, and this month's show has very much got a West Country feel to it. Now, the track in question was a posse cut orchestrated by Roller and Rummage, featuring a who's who of UK artists from the West Coast, including many from Exeter and Bristol. For this month's show, however, we're going to
focus our attention on Bristol specifically. We are going to look at Exeter in coming shows, but this month it's all about Bristol, and I thought that track would be a great one to kick us off. Now, I say it's all about Bristol. We're going to focus on the early 80s to the year 2000. So, of course, there are many artists after that we won't include on today's show, but rest assured we will come back to it for a Bristol Part 2. So we begin our journey with perhaps the godfathers of hip-hop in Bristol, the mighty Wild Bunch, whose members, of course, would go on to form Massive Attack and Soul to Soul, two of most of the influential groups of all time, certainly of the 80s and early 90s. Now, the original lineup were Miles Johnson, DJ Milo, Nelly Hooper and Grant Marshall, Daddy G. There were two MCs, Willie Wee and the legendary graph artist 3D, who would join the crew later. And originally, the Wild Bunch, like many other collectives in the early 80s across the UK, started out as a reggae sound system before embracing hip-hop. Now, in many ways, the crucible of the early Bristol hip-hop scene, and not just the hip-hop scene, but the music scene in general, was the legendary Dugout Club, which was a tiny basement club near the university and not far from the important cultural areas such as St Paul's. Now, with its mix of styles and genres, including, of course, early hip-hop, it's not surprising the future direction that members of the Wild Bunch would take. But we're going to have a bit more on that in a moment. So let's get straight into the music.
103.7 Kane FM.
The sound of the Wild Bunch, live and direct at the A1 King Discotheque.
Crew saying it's okay in the UK, so welcome to the Underground Massive Attack. Yeah, this ain't no lottie-dottie, this is no sequel. For this rap there will be no equal. Known as the original, gruesome, known to have fresh lyrics, so I'm gonna bust loose them. So, Scooby-Doo, you're down with the crew. On the mic singing 1, 2. Where to drink your tennis or where to drink your brew. You're down with the Wild Bunch crew. On a crisp painted surface, buff jacket on my back, you know it's vicious. Open up a tennis and it's so delicious. You're gonna say qua, I'm looking like a vandal. Girl next door's got me burning like a candle. Says MC Blue, I can't kiss you. I know you're kinda fishy, but oh, I got the flu, but don't worry yourself. I see you, baby, I'm immune. Hair slick, thick with the beat up soon. Is it, ain't my baby, that's right. My baby used to hold me so tight. I'm the cool breeze, a cool operator. The ladies are rushing and I'm saying see you later. And you know it's Chris. She turns around to the lady, she gives a kiss, singing it, oh my god, we was at the bomb. Oh my god, we was at the bomb. You know what I'm saying? The girl was chilling, so I did the outline and she did the filling. Where'd you wanna go? Don't mind a little bit, I got my mate that measure too, but it's a shorter fit. She asked me the time. She says, what maker would you with your quartz? And it's made by Seiko. Gives a little bit of my MCD voice. Baby just cares for me, well that's funny. The label on my shirt, Temporio Armani. In limited edition in a retrospect. To push me too hard, the speakers get wrecked. I'm crushing opposition. Shock a willing juice, leaving a sign around your neck saying out of use. Creating and taping up a Lowry system. Now and that'll land fresh for ladies, I kiss them. Wearing a little bit of mine, ooh, what's the bar? Got it on, it's not Eve Saint Laurent, it's Krissy and Dior, and it's a ball of armor that's serious, you know, when I get in my pay. Jumping into my gear without delay. Al Supreme and I'm stepping on the street. Fresh fur on my head, a new kicks on my feet. I'm walking by Sony, cause Sony is sweet. Still can't relax when the ladies rush me. The matter over me, singing the matter over me. They want me to tag up on the stationery. They bring it to the party, saying it's complimentary. Autograph, don't mean you're paying no money. Raw bun screw in the Nike penetrators. Looking so fresh, all the other crew's haters. You know what I do to improve my status. Spending my pounds just like potatoes. You blow upon a whistle, you lick upon the wood. The raw bun screw tearing down the neighborhood, you know it.
103.7 Kane FM.
Yeah, homeboy, how could you do that? Hey y'all, this is the Smith and Mighty production crew. Back in effect. My name is MC Kelz. To the people out there, this one's yours. Here's a dedication to all the hip hoppers, to all the party freaks and all the reggae rockers. Sucking MCs in the place, you're chatting nonsense. You see me, I'm an MC with a conscience. Baseline drops as the beat sounds hollow. I rock the mic, sucking MCs gotta follow. They fight because they gotta. To use my raps, they waddle. Laying down my business scores, that's my motto. The beat is made by Smith and Mighty. MC Kelz is a rapper, the rapper is me. I'm the one in it pull with the capital P. Just my style, I'm hardcore to cool and deadly. My raps are getting better, and suckers can't match it. Hits them in the face like a belly to a ratchet. I'm on the cut to get you out of your seat because clash of the beats, 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 clash of the beats. Oh yeah, story so far. Jackie Jackson got credit cause the style was brand new. Krissy Kris gave the credit where the credit was due. As for me, I rock the mic. I wanted my diploma to rock the mic until all night and be a mic controller. Like the lyrics that I made when I came back. Said for the party people, I don't get no slack. Cause rapping is my hobby and I do it the most. And when I'm chilling in a party, I'm your host. And when I get on the mic, I like to rock my people. Cause if I rap once, I come back with a sequel. So when my raps are flowing, people then I know it. My raps are getting better, yo, it's showing. Getting game when I'm in with the beat. But yo, the rhythm's getting hard like a piece of concrete. So wherever you are, in a house or a street, this time it's clash of the beat, clash of the beat, clash of the beat. Clash of the beat. Clash of the beat. Clash of the beat. I'm on a jam, no mistaking. What I gotta say is history in the making. Bling, 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 bling. Flash it. Bling, 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 bling. Flash it is ready. The set is done. Cause you see my style, I'm number one. Like a goddamn shit. Smith and Mighty back again. On
Kane 103.7 FM.
Yeah, this is what we call the Bristol style. Which one you all homeboy side goes to kick it up with me, the double K Krissy Kris. And just listen. Just listen. Hey, this is not an intermission. Homeboys, you've got my permission to kick it up. And just listen. Stick the money in the meter and you park around a while. I hold the mic in my hand and I just let off my style. My style like an arrow where the lyrics are true. Because the truth's an indication of what I can do. Now doing is the art of performing true grit. Hey, I'm the lead for ego on a mic, it goes like this. This is a prototype, it ain't no recital. It's proclaimed by many that I hold the title. My title like a king who sits on his throne. Because the throne is just a part of it, equals his home. Home is where the heart is, and that's where it starts. But the heart is just the organ, people tear it apart. Apart from the rhymes, which I'm saying to you. Hey, I'm an MC on the mic, I give respect when it's due. This is simple as that. This ain't a rhyme or fiction. It's based in pure fact. The fact of the matter, if you don't already know, is that my name is Krissy Kris, and like a lantern, I glow. I'm the Highlander. Stood under the sun. I have a message from the God. There can be only one MC. That's right, that's me. I bust my lyrics. I can run for presidency. You see, I've got to spread my word around. I say that any motherfucker can rock on down. You see, I'm your train. You waiting at the station. Jump aboard me. I'll take you to your destination. Lift your hands in the air. You're here by invitation. My name is Krissy Kris and this is my dedication. I'm a lover and a brother. With my lyrics I would mother you. So just go and take cover. Remember one thing, Kris will never be another. I'm on the microphone, I make your body shudder. A pharmacist from time, MC Kris, that's right. I'm fronting a chemist in a this. Contestants just feel it. I'm on a microphone where I started, so I'll finish. I'm not a dictator by rule, just still with conversation. I'm the double K, and so they say the mic is my relation. The gift of the gab I've always had when any crisis arises. You hear about and about a cry, you wonder what I did. The mic is my office, I'm the mic commander. Now when I'm on the front line, I just use my hand grenade. And watch the enemy that first. Listen to these lines, cause they're well rehearsed. They back and close your eyes and concentrate. Just listen to the lines as they penetrate your mind and your soul. You can't control this buzz. I am a prophet, had a message from above. It said, now thou shalt always drop the microphone. Whether thou art one's brother or thou art alone. Spread my word from shore to shore. Thou art my prophet, so just give them hardcore. No deception intended, cause it's just being told. To get your ear in check before they overload. To the rhymes I'm displaying, pumping out with ease. Don't show me handicap because the double K will see the opportunity to kick up a style. This is it, Bristol. So hang around a while. 100% pure meat, no lumps of fat or gristle. My mind's my guarantee that I can bitch you know with this. So I'm enjoyment like a kid with a lollipop. She takes the look, she takes the lick from the bottom to the top. Satisfaction's what affluently is our rhyme. The lyric manifesto, and this is the time. This is the time to just feel fine. This is the time.
Yeah, what's going on, party people? It's your boy Mikey D of the LA Posse and Main Source, and now I represent elements of hip-hop. So right now you're tuned in to the Pioneers Hip-Hop Show with my man DJ Whirlwind D right here on Kane 103.7 FM. Come on, y'all, keep it locked, man. This is where real hip-hop lives.
Yo, D, I was just messing with this beat in the lab, and I thought, you know what? Let me just pass him this beat, rock 32 bars straight, and we're gone. What are you saying?
Kane 103.7 FM, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show. And if you've just joined us, tonight is all about Bristol, the legendary city. And we are tracing Bristol's hip hop history circa early 80s to around 2000. Now, as is customary on the Pioneers Hip Hop Show, we are specifically focusing in on the music. Of course, in hip hop culture, there is so much more than just the records that came out, but that's what we trace on the Pioneers show. Bristol, what an incredible city. Now, the first track you heard was the earliest recording I could find by the Wild Bunch. And this was actually a live performance of a track called The Day the Lord Died, which was unreleased. It's got a cheeky little LWR intro on, but I thought that just gave more kind of meaning to the time, as it were. And that recording took place in 1985. Now, the Wild Bunch would go on and release 2 12-inch singles under the name Wild Bunch on major label 4th and Broadway Island, but that would be it. And perhaps the reason for this was that actually quickly the members would disperse to form Soul to Soul and Massive Attack, amongst other projects. So Daddy G, 3D and Mushroom, who was the newest member of the Wild Bunch, went on to form the mighty Massive Attack, whilst Nelly Hooper would join Soul to Soul, before of course producing major artists such as Madonna and Bjork. And actually I can still remember seeing the check that he paid Liberty Grooves for sampling The Trials of Life by the Gutter Snipes on Madonna's Bedtime Stories album. Crazy times. Now, we mentioned the Dugout Club earlier, which, as I say, was the crucible of Bristol hip-hop in those early years. And another crew to emerge from its basement was Smith and Mighty. Now, after that first track by the Wild Bunch, that live track that we then heard 2 early Smith and Mighty tracks featuring Bristol originaries MC Kelz and Krissy Kris. The first one was, of course, Clash of the Beats, and then we moved into This Is the Time. Now, Peter D, Ray Mighty and DJ Rob Smith would help define Bristol's sound as Smith and Mighty, and like the Wild Bunch would have a huge influence on music everywhere. As well as launching their own label, Three Stripe Records, which the 2 tracks you heard came out on. They produced Massive Attack's first single and even had a top 10 chart hit, producing the Fresh 4 with Wishing on a Star. But after their early flirtations with hip-hop, they would go on to flirt with a multitude of genres, much like Massive Attack did. And in many ways, this is no surprise, because actually the Dugout Club was a mix of musical styles and cultures. So that was very much where these crews came from. Up next, we've got a track from a legendary Bristol crew, 3 PM.
3 PM in effect, in full effect, you ready to do this? Here it comes again, drops with the rhyme flow. Think you've heard this all before at a disco? This is not what I'm displaying. 3 PM together, we were only just saying. No, you are, show your nationality. Reach to the stars, the final prizes are plenty. Linked, fake, you know he never sink. The pilot of the squadron is always distinct. Yo, that's where we live. Kelz another brother, rap lover, it'll only give you the positive, the best, the ultimate release to the extreme. One love, one culture, that's a dream to me. Frost, Krissy Kris or whatever. Rhymes that float in this text are very clever. It's my art, my ways, gaze, don't question it. Guilty for one thing, being legit. Massive. Cool as what you will, the pill that kills the ill. Metaphor, another cock in the wheel. What's the time? 3 PM, the movement. 3-man posse move is what we're giving you. Old and new styles, we're pulling the wagon. You want some? And now you got some of the best MCs on the island. Smiling, darling, you're cool, we're filing. Yellow pages, page 1, 2, 3, or dial 0800 free phone posse.
PM, don't mean what time it is. For those who don't know, yo, we know what time it is. And yet still, we improvise and shows you why. You are try test, ease off, guy, turn on the mixer. Cause this is a kicker, the Frank or E-deck, the rest of the tape deck. So you think, oh well, the MC can flow well. From snares to hi-hat, in with the cowbell thumping. So let me tell you something, suckers are this, but still, let's throw a humming to the bass. Cause the rhythm is in deep, or shall I say skin deep. For us it's a big leap, 3 PM. Posse, run up your mouth, boy, it could cause homicide. We don't skin up, we can't skin up. You sit on this ride, get up. Rhythm, you say, here, have a taste. Sub, you say, in other words, bass. Coming down from a town called St. P. It ain't one posse move, boy, it's 3.
Not 1, not 2, 3, that's the number. 3 PM and St. P are coming underground. The level, crack is to settle. Rhyme
pumping hard just like a metal kettle. Pull yourself tea, but look, it ain't tea time. Make sense? Well, it's my time once again to show you what's going on. Gotta take deck, stereo, radio, turn it on right now for me to show you how. Wipe your brow, put your plow. You should be proud that I'm taking time to explain. Silver set of fame, 3 p.m. rain, supreme. We're a team, know what I mean? I come clean, Kelz, a brother, the poet, a friend, and on the mic, no mime, and no pretending links, dropping bombs with the music, cuts can cool your heart, each can you that, anytime, anywhere, see I'm the frost, no my mind not lost, 3 p.m. our boss.
3 p.m. posse on the upfront slamming. With the producers, they want hardcore, and that's what I'm dealing with. This is the posse movement, those who cannot get with hip-hop. Stay tuned to this channel. Krissy Kris, my brother, is a member of the panel. Freestyle, up into the new school. The beats are new school, the blend is old school. Free, but the posse move is on the brass tacks for all those suckers who just can't take that. Reluctant, yeah, too slow to see. Surprise, brain deficiency, we gotta fix it. He's getting weaker.
I know, put him up by the speaker.
Yeah, ease up the slack, cause we ain't whack. This is 3 p.m. on the A-Tack. DJ Licks versus us the maestro. We know what time it is and when you're yelling up Bravo. This is could cause sensitivity. Forget that jack, yo, this is festivity. We're not inactive, here's the new tactics. Rockin' to the rhythm, it's the 3 p.m. bandits. Improving, what's the moving? Suckers in the place of the my name is snooping. Rhythms, musically you are moving, grooving, soothing. With the beat you've been preparing yourselves for the intro. Rough but smooth, but yo, that's how we like to flow. Rockin' it to the big beat, that's the main metaphor. You say you want more, okay, sure. We're gonna kick it to the T.O.P. It ain't one posse move, boy, it's 3.
Kane FM.
The big can I did the jaw. Scribe and 8-4, the magic tune and more all together. The lyrical folklore, summer going on. You say I wrong, I do a sing-song. Record shop going on. Our song too long, this one note, some nuts, something going on. Orthodox, far from the manner. You got the works, I got the spanner. No more hammer draw, bomb in a spanner. Smile on my face, if you chuck me a tanner. Not the one way to do is bump, print and wax. No doppelganger, as I never slacks. Not the one way to see a child of tags. I just wanna go back by the academic. 1 + 1 + 1. I want numerically 4 if 1 is a Numskullz. We don't know you from a bread roll. On the carpet that made me roll. What's that floating in the night air? Sweet music, I listen. Well, all I hear is give me my share. Think a little and people they stare. Bear with sore head looks back at me. Cash on respect, what's your fancy? Guess who's next in his body is a beat can control. No formality.
Should I continue? Why the hell not? For I am only doing in what I feel. Your mood is real. I mean the key chilly shiny on the scene. I'm sorry, you need your head fade or beat. I know it's a shock to hear from the dark. Something so sure, so very hot to knock. But for now, don't lift the night down. Got to run and take a noble bow. Oh, God help the snow. Hope they don't fall victim to the flow. It's a hard game, what a crying shame. And he didn't even know of my name. Well, me oh my. Over his milk, I doubt he will cry. Say mirror, mirror, look at yourself. Money, yes, but check your mental health. We don't have to do what the a soul.
Within a chapter, summer going on the dawn of the third term, life's a who. So tell me, but I can't lose never did you light in a permissible burn. I never been worth your mints and twist. Avoid your ladies simply question your state. I'll leave the witness with my case of bad taste. And watch your messages I communicate. Raw Britannia, a lot of hope and glory. We don't think so. Watch your razor long flag and be so proud when they find in the wit hole. Gee whiz, the ball on strikes again. Another city, what a pity, any grown man. A punch on the gate, simply over nationality. Another victim of the tri-color jubilee. Deep level promotion, now letting in. Top of me, the permit, it's not running in. Homicide in the likes of the dime, but the only murder weapon is sound. Master plan by the pitfall. Blueprint, pen and ink, now the story goes pitiful. A revolution, so we got them in the cold. Another problem solved. Decade in a bedded by the UK chapter. Here comes a label undivided attention. With a flicker from the torching syndrome. And to burn and burn and to try to get a mention. Stand back, many coming through. Resuscitate the resource renovation of the polyvinyl chloride jinx. It won't stop for LPs. I'm really a burning CDs. Fading out the very source of the rap bass. Giving it a hard time. Not my kind of taste. Make a burn for the musical snobbery. Now they want me 12-10 for making pottery.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
you're listening to Kane 103.7 FM.
Hey, yo, homeboy. How the fuck could you do that? Give me a chance. Let me remember, was it November? Surely December, oh well, it doesn't matter. Let's get to the main points. The must who likes this my white joints. On the free base, on the dope base. To get to the next phase, I got to make A-ways like steel. That's the deal, to a ghetto roughneck who don't know real from real. I get confused for the abuse. As for the killer dealer, I refuse. You're just a hunter, money hunter. Find the bloke with some notes as a punter. Make a raid on the ones you've chosen. Cash on delivery and trade for poison. COD when it comes to the purchase. For the addiction, he's got a business to run. You call that a chum? He don't care, but he ain't dumb, just another victim on the addiction. Every heyday, yo, it's just tripping. In other words, the sucker who don't get for. Stop the boat to be a rock star. Not to perform, but in hell, the killer thrust us while lungs just go still. Brainwashed. Smack, coke, ice. In effects, results ain't too nice. The urges want more, addiction for sure. The cure is no more. That's the main score. To stop is hard when you got the gas. Tell yourself this urge won't last. Cold turkey, the pain of basing. The answer's rehabilitation. Revive, yes that's right, revive. Getting ship shape in aid to survive. Cause tripping was never the main event. Your cash is spent, your brain is dent. You turn to friends, you ask for lens. They give you pens, you start to cry. Boy, it's time to repent. Like a pinball on the rebound. Left, right, here, there, up, down. You start to cry, you can't stop. The nerve to have is what you got. With one puff, yo, your life is tossed. Face it, homie, you've been brainwashed. Yeah, open your eyes. Thicken you run things, you're just below things, never above things. Think it's nice to smoke the ice like a dice. You paid the price, see, or you should have thought twice. You're just slipping into the cesspit, smoking the ish, and here's the best bit. You're unemployed now, got no job, getting local visits from the drug squad, CID, known as the Beast Boy. You wanna split, but the dealer was a decoy. You gotta blind though, was it worth it? You gotta weigh in a chance, you don't deserve it. You're just a sheep, he's the shepherd. Need a solution? Here's the method. Stage by stage, phase by phase, ease the pace of the bass. You gotta erase stupid urges you get on often. If you don't, your brain might soften like a pillow or a duvet. Leave me alone. Who say? You say with one puff, yo, your life is tossed. So face it, homie, you've been brainwashed. Yeah, face it, homie, you've been brainwashed.
From the US to UK, my crew is cold crushing. I'm either out digging for gems or we're discussing them. With the deal, y'all, this is Oxygen representing vinyl veterans. And if I ain't out digging in the crates, I'm listening to the Pioneers of Hip Hop show with my man Whirlwind D on Kane 103.7 FM. The realness, y'all.
Kane FM, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show. Tonight it's all about the Bristol flavour. Don't forget, towards the end of the show, we got some brand new music. We got some killer cuts this evening, including Sam Kratz's new single, the brand new Figure of Speech album, man, that is fierce. And of course, some Soul Condor slices. Big shout out to my man Del Soul Condor, fighting an incredibly tough battle. We are all with you, and we've got 2 cuts from his incredible Soul Condor slice label. So hold tight to the end of the show. Lots of dope brand new music. But let's get back into the Bristol history. So we find ourselves in and around 1990, and we hype the set with the sound of STP by 3PM, who of course were MC Kelz, Krissy Kris and DJ Lynx. Now, Kelz and Krissy Kris had first made their vinyl debuts on Smith & Mighty's records, which we played earlier on in the show. Krissy Kris had actually started MCing way back in 1983, and according to legend was known as Mellow Z, but was later christened Krissy Kris by Willie Wee of the Wild Bunch. Now, in fact, he would perform with the Wild Bunch in those early years. Kelz started out, so legend says, as a reggae MC. He was influenced by those legendary sound systems such as Coxsone and Saxon, and he was also friends with Peter D of Smith & Mighty's younger brother. And through that connection, he would then appear on those early Smith & Mighty records, and more importantly, through his talent. But it was here, of course, that Krissy Kris and MC Kelz met each other, and they would form their own crew, 3PM, alongside DJ Lynx, who was also a friend of Kelz. Now, from 3PM, we moved to the debut white label by Transcript Carriers, who formed in 1990 and included Deed, Sabine's OBE, Rebomb, Can't Control and Burning Vernon. Now, All Fear is Bondage, which is a track we played, is quite sought after these days. It was a white label only release, and it would, of course, mark one of those early points in the recording history of legends such as Beans and Deed, who, of course, Deed would go on to create many personas, from Alan Lamb to the Animal of Anham or Asylum, later on into and to the present day. So finally, we played another 3PM track, and this time it was from their recently released excellent compendium of unreleased tracks from the late 80s and early 90s. Now, the track we played was called Brainwashed. It's an absolute stormer, but I'll tell you what, you really need to get hold of that record. It's on Backbone, which I think might be their label, not to be confused with DJ Supreme's Backbone label, but it is well worth seeking out. You've got that 3PM history on there, and every track is an absolute winner. So we find ourselves in the early 90s, and we're going to jump in a moment to the mid-90s and start to weave that story. Remember, like I say, we've got some brand new music at the end of the show. I have to say, this month we don't have a mix by my man Specific, which is completely my fault because I was a bit useless. I suddenly realised that the show was very, very imminent and didn't give him enough time. But I promise you, Specific will be back next month, wrecking shop in the mix. So we're going to get back into the music now, and one of my favourite crews to ever come out of Bristol is the Numskullz.
Something that's pleasing, never be doing treason. Listening pleasure, never done just for the sake. What's all the rushing for? There be more than one take. I believe in fate, so make the music from the bottom of the soul. Sticking with original styles to grow all over the world. People be making sounds not too difficult to do, but not for making them pounds. It's gonna be the feeling, dealing with whatever, but every day I gonna grab it. It's a habit. Now I guess I'm ready for invasion on the nation. We've all got a place. Best believe that I'm just giving a taste. Don't really give a damn about people in offices with false promises and nothing really to give. Not here for the taking, only just the music making I was born with. Not to be abused, it's a gift. Put in the right places, cause when I'm getting deep I creep straight through the pattern of beats. Smooth as satin, seen it on the telly. The penny people don't listen, there's something that they're missing. Better be good with vision, but never get the catch. Line snaps, now you're caught in a trap. How you figure you'll be getting back? It's a fact, you're the product everybody knew. Now everything I do is for you. It's the music. It's the music. It's the music. That's what I will be using. That's what I will be choosing. It's just. So just cruise along the rhythm. That's how I'll be living. It's just. Back at a large fast split and catch a whiff of the flavor. It's just. Hey, hey, hey. I've thought of many things that were wrong in life, so now I think of many that are right. Gotta be keeping it tight, put it down in my pan, filled up with information I picked up on my travels and ravel when I be dabbling. Writing and writing, running up pens, getting through paths. Time to face the music, trying to make many people glad to be surviving, striving on a belief. Turn over another leaf, giving praise to the chief. It's all about the business, pleasures and small measures. It's just the way I keep my mind focused on the treasure. Not even a penny to keep myself up with the fashion. Giving up many treats and put it to a passion. Still jinx when animal instinct sinks into my body, making me wanna be naughty. See, I can't afford that, gotta be keeping on point. And many jobs are throbbing, so too many would turn to robbing. The string fellow, say hello to all the listeners, never missing us, because we'll never be leaving. Kick it out an even pace, give amazing grace to the one who placed you on the earth to give birth. It's simple, it's just. And this is strictly for the listening pleasure. It's just. So just cruise along the rhythm. That's how I'm living. It's just. So I step in another boat to see where we can go with the. Hey, you baby, you never save me. Quite like you're nothing the same. I never could explain this feeling I'm dealing with. To live life to the maximum capability, I know it's possible. I've seen it in many fossils who rustle something up out of nothing. It's just an essence, a sort of presence in my body. This sort of things that makes the people get down and party. Artie farties and Johnnies never got it in their system. Sent out the scriptures in the post, but it missed them. How can I tell it? I swell it up inside my brain. I can't contain it too long. Bring out a song, making sure everybody gets to hear it. I fear it, but it's gonna happen if we're gonna continue rapping. The backstabbers never bother me. I've had enough grief, but I got a relief given from the boss. See, he's guiding me over the many pastures, green grass. It's everlasting, so let me just pass the message over to the next person. It's not a curse, seems to matter? Just the music that I feed from. But is it really that bad, my son? Just people with total dedication, like invasion or possession of bodies, not evil, not like an evil. So I'll be starving to keep my habit, love and direct. So check me. It's just the music that affects me. It's just nothing but the music, the music. That's what I will be using. That's what I will be choosing. It's just nothing but the music, the music. So just cruise along the rhythm. That's what I'll be living. It's just nothing but the music, the music. I kick along to the step. Don't give a damn about the rep. Just nothing but the music, the music. And never will be leaving, and never be deceiving. It's nothing but the music, the music, the music. Nothing but the music, the music, the music. Nothing but the music, the music.
You're listening to the sounds of Kane 103.7 FM.
Sachi, not patchy like Oba compared to Hitachi. I'll sprint a furlong in a blinking of an eye, keep the concept dry. Free from damp, a sky at pumper like conceivers leaving a ramp. Sebastian Coe with a cramp, Mother Teresa R.I.P. with a tramp. A coal miner with a lamp of beans doubling up, 2 coppers a champ. Sampling bits, creating 15 skits, pass it for an LP if my label would let it be. The body to direct this control, handle all the biz. The managers with the nostrils of wind.
Kane FM.
Open up my cookbook, take a look inside of me. My mind, I find a recipe necessary to carry the best of my ability and living agility. I'm the killer, reward the killer sound. My nail and lyrics never to ever poison. Forever cooking metaphors of beats to shake the floor. Storm for weeks or more. Keep me fresh and take the doors of all. I'm always audible, plausible. I whack the fall from wall to wall. With all the calling out my house, wandering. Take a browse through the kitchen. Nicking my delicious British dishes and wishing that the Welsh rare bit was every bit the blissing. Taste that I created, you waited, took a bite and ate it to digest and cheer out on black plates and add the garnish. And serve, so I serve dessert. Your crew deserves, cause my rhymes are so bold and superb. They break your journey mold. Frictionless, I'm cutting when the links like claps. The cooking rated 5 stars at the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients, we only use the freshest and the less is unacceptable. This is our best, you're undigestible, detestable. Searching market price for hyperbreaks, we take the best of all. So I suggest you will get the gist and drop your risks. Your shitty makes the sense, me in the fix, we keep it gritty. The primest cuts are beat sitting pretty on a 2-wing static is sizzling, boats are grizzling, punters are listening. We productive organs glistening, we catered at your christening. This indicates experience that you're missing. We catering at your funeral when the cookery less to finish. So for now you better listen to the master chef's majestic, unfrigid display of culinary wisdom like the Brew Brothers. Dedicated food lovers rated, leaving open mics grated, desiccated like coconuts or jams. You're the sponge I'm topping, cause you're soaking up the fantastic patterns I'm dropping. You're taking out like a picnic, like birds we flocking, circling and mocking, shitting on your words so rotten, forgotten. Like tuna rolls in school desks, Betamax cassettes and Viberflex skate decks. So who's next for the grilling I'm bringing? We quick the food, the singing kicks in, signaling the lessons finishing. But your banquets, so we banquet on the finest grouse. So you ain't sitting around a table at the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
At the House of Ingredients.
Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
Scout leader deeds in the House of Ingredients. We got Spy in the House of Ingredients. Sabine so we ease in the House of Ingredients. Fine stylers in the House of Ingredients. Cut King Frictions in the House of Ingredients. And your host Majestic's in the House of Ingredients. So when you're dining out in the House of Ingredients, you better show your host a little kicking obedience. So Scout leader D, clear the table, get on with it. Spy dance a wine, removing all the labels, it's a bind. But we're making Ome Vino in April like Gino. So Spy off your ass, put the bottles in the bathtub. Beans wipe the work, tops and milk the fluid. Fine styler, put away the stilt and just do it, will ya? Record the port, friction you report with the dishcloth, marigolds, fairy liquid washing bowl. What don't look so for? It's nothing new with your washing. I'm drying while other crews are crying, cuz
you ain't nothing if you can't cook.
Yo, what's up? This is Chrome representing the All C&I, No Half Stepping Records, and you're checking out my man Whirlwind D on the Pioneers Hip Hop Show on Kane FM. Keep it locked.
Kane FM, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show. Tonight it's all about Bristol, celebrating Bristol town and hip hop music in Bristol. If you've just joined us, we're looking at the period from the early 80s to the year 2000. So much good stuff. So we find ourselves in the mid-90s, and by the mid-90s, UK hip-hop was going through a kind of retreat. But just as in London and all around the country, seeds were being sown for the next golden age of UK artists. So whilst groups like Massive Attack were now worldwide multi-genre successes, there was a new wave of Bristol artists starting to emerge. Now, first up, we heard the debut on vinyl at least, as they had previously released cassettes of their music, which have actually recently been put out by Todd Hart's Burning Anger Records, and the second volume is about to drop, so make sure you hit him up. We had a debut by the Numskullz. So the Numskullz were Rummage, Roller and Jailer Surgeon, and their unique sound was an instant hit, one of my favourite crews ever to come out of Bristol. They immediately made waves in London and elsewhere in the country. Now, Roller had originally been part of the West Country crew Deaf Defiance alongside Exeter artist Project C and Supreme Shah. Remember, we're going to look at the West Country in another show. Now, eventually, Roller would move to Bristol, and remains there to the present day. In fact, these days he's an instrumental part of Specific's label Beeline Recordings, both as an artist and also as a mix engineer. Still very much a key linchpin in the hip-hop scene. We then moved into the brilliant Vacation by Parlour Talk. Now, Parlour Talk were Deed and Beans, and they featured lots of collaborations, including ones with future Undivided Attention member Majesta, as well as Spy and Fine Styler, to name a few. Now, this collective would go on to release a host of projects under the Hairy Parents Undivided Attention banner, including the next track we played, which was called The House of Ingredients, which was eventually released again by Britcore Romance Burning Anger fairly recently, as at the time it was only available as a cassette, and that was back in 1997. Now, Sound of Fury were Friction and Majesta, but also included collaborations with Beans and Deed, to name a few. So you can see there was a huge collective around those artists. So we find ourselves in and around 1997, and before we move back into the music, I have to just mention last week's Rope-A-Dope 6, as it was absolutely brilliant, and the music was just incredible. It was at the super dope Rope Walk. Big up to Anne and her crew, and it was another fantastic success. I'm not going to name all the artists because I don't want to miss anyone out, but everybody brought their A game, and it was a pleasure to see. Specific and I loved jumping up and again and performing after nearly 2 years without because of lockdown. It was so good to see all the B-boys, the graph artists, the record buyers, the record sellers. Everybody was in the house. It was a fantastic weekend. So big up to all the Rope Walk crew. Bristol definitely in the house. So we're going to stick with Bristol for a hot minute. We find ourselves in 1997, and like I said, one of my favourite crews to ever emerge from this part of the world. It's another track from the Numskullz. It's Signs of the End.
Now the sun started sinking as the crash grew, moving to another scene, darker than it's been. Different avenues and even you confused, different point of views, different crews. Want a medal, got a pedal till they blow the fuse. Unbelievable background colors, you gotta choose what's from above us to understand covers. Myself ain't got that in my nature to invade your territory. Sick of the story, that's all the same for me. Different formats, different areas of the planet or annex. Many panicking over these dramatics. It's systematic as the ages are ticking over. Now go for the mass, just ask, there's another task. Cause when I put on my uniform, it's not warm, but I gotta put on performance. About it with the torments. The fact they don't deserve me, the fact they got me trapped, makes me wanna react. That's how I make it back. They say signs of the end is near. Now I'm in gear, just to put the message in your ear. They say signs of the end is near. I'm a dick and I walk a right, it's bad. Here and after. They say signs of the end is near. I got to keep it possible, not a fossil to disappear. They say signs of the rights is back. Now get it back into the dough, gotta bring it up to date and then swing it back. As things are evolving people that's solving the problems. That ain't nothing, the world's evolving. And things around the corner ain't easy to identify. But with his eyes open, he thought about his presence and an essence of occasion. Out of the old evasion, it's not the same. As time is ticking, it's getting tame and disabled the cable. But nothing's ever stable. Upon his travels, he unraveled many tangles and dangled over the lion's den. With many to contend, ready for the descendants of many planets above us to discover. He ain't about to cover up his mother. It's all about a display to play. Most of the people will obey as he watches them fade away. Many they're innocent, but ministers got to put the foot in for room to open up another door.
They say signs of the end is near. Now I gotta make a date with fate to get it clear. They say signs of the end is near. I wonder can I walk a righteous path for the stars? They say signs of the end is near. I got to keep it possible, not a fossil to disappear. They say signs of the end is near. I wonder can I walk a righteous path here and after. They say signs of the end is near. So never shed a tear. I want to hear you make a cheer. They say signs of the end is near. I wonder can I walk a righteous path.
Hey boy, you're not hearing it.
When I pen it, some mistake identity at Misha Gordon Bennett. Told you once, told you twice. Weavers the geezer enticing MCs to take long-term breathers. Absent without levers, broke north when I came forth. Show me meant to jostle, endorse my word as gospel. Define divine sinister. Rent boys with ministers intent to vent pen thoughts on those I deem villainous. Shackle many, tackle berry, weaponry. Obsessives whose life's advantage only act as regressive. Is low what we know? No, I read the Beano back in the day as a kid. So why the Gambino? Low IQ bastard trying to come dick dastard, dumb drum scum. Friday Union jack off master treason. Open season. What do you mean? Let me explain. Got more rhyme than reason as this sharp Sagittarian. The woman's knickers, I'm wearing them. Step deception got you open like cesarean.
Dig my earth. Gigabyting through microphone cables, I disable and disarm. You folk impact people's causing harm. Aspects of the old when yours are flawed with your lack of passion. Taking your grammar, gathering, shamming and fashion. It's time to untether technical speakers spell terror. Your world starts to tremor, begin the end of your endeavor. It's the madness while we're bliss. It's time to finish your job. So brandish your defeat and shut your gigabyte.
I managed split flash coats, my Adidas, shell toes and false flow, disturbing my trance. So I leave my side beside the speaker, eager to enter the cipher league, and I'm eager to pseudo Caesar's flows are free from regional features. I seize the moment, begin an opponent attack procedure. His amnesia leads to non-indigenous accents and an absence of defenses. The general consensus, he was buggered by my sentences and relentless tendencies to sodomize. Psychology's like a necessary lobotomies, no stopping wait till dawn break, or we're drawn into the eye of the storm. Helly Hansen's retort, along with the forms that they adored. I yawn, leaving no survivor, like a tribe of cybermen, and I drop the mic and return to my side. This MC aside was incited by gigabyters.
Gigabyting through microphone cables, I disable and disarm. You faulty impact cables causing harm. Mass missiles are old when yours are flawed with your lack of passion. Taking your grammar, gathering champagne and fashion. It's time to untether technical speakers spell terror. Your world starts to tremor, begin the end of your endeavor. It's the madness smile with bliss. It's time to finish your job. So brandish your defeat and shut your gigabyte
aspect. In the main mind's the vocal. B-boys no locking in after hours down the local. The only crabs you pulled off were from your genitalia. Exude attitude, but my spirit gnarlier than yours timid. When it comes to scratch, your nuts are the limit. Who's down the axe, drown the pain of lame mimic Mike Fast. You couldn't rap a pass with your talk out the arsehole. Imitate a gigabyter. DC's for sure you ain't a writer. You couldn't piece a 2-bit jigsaw. eye for an eye. In the battlefield, no shield, so you best have your shit sealed. You so pseudo-nouveau riche. You don't know jack about Italia, completely self-conscious. Dress designer, where's your bluffing? Nonsense. I don't care, you're less than nothing. Bonces, go shove it up your answer. Wishing for death, going out like Charles Bronson, blasting, not a parson preaching. But with violent chat, these bastards aren't reaching.
Gigabyte. Aspects kicking ass.
Kane FM.
To a valley 75 meters deep to get the bottom sounding right. Natural like cotton when it lights. Ignite the pilot light. An arm of microlight and make a sizzle in your satellite. Take it 3 inches off the overbite and infiltrate your disc and wipe a megabyte. Leave a burn on your drive, plug in the fiber optic molding cause I'm golden boy. Patent proximity, mine, so drop a sniper. DJ double up, Peter Piper so I can peel another one what's right.
Want the juice from your chop, steal another bite while you're able. You're slipping on the peel, still living that fable. Rob a loop, make a break for it, praise it to the table. For giving us the gift to nick on shit from any label.
I think it must be heaven, some would disagree. Shut your face, fill the bass, pass the grape to the SPYE. Burning up an edgy which is slimy. You get devoured by the power, now your concentration's broken.
Like a broom handle through the bike spokes. Gotta try and safely unicycle life's tightropes. Have to master balance, all the fumes begin to choke. From the edge of hope, burning, fight the fire in hell of smoke. That's a ticket, the thicker the better, guess it wrote. A token of my thoughts caught on disc, so they're digital. Happy in the knowledge that the US rocket boats. And you're failing cause that bullshit's not original.
Time for a change of the program. Give you something new. Time for a change of the program. Give you something new every time.
Your inability to spot me with a telephone and zoom to watch me. Too slow to keep up on the podgy and blotchy. Surveillance skills like you were dodgy. Your LCD is fuzzy. Your body pixelated like a Tamagotchi.
All around me are the sounds you love to hear. Spot me on the atlas floating through the atmosphere. Control your utmost fear. Now wipe away them tears. We disappear then reappear. We're on the chandelier. 2000 next year. We're the free space age musketeer. Keep it crystal clear, so give us a cheer. Even Dr. Jackal couldn't hide from a shadow. Rock the mic collection. Waddy battle Barry Manilow.
Unfurl the banner so to herald our visit. Shit on your picnic. Mimic a trickiest lyric in a minute. It doesn't matter, it's all a gimmick if your heart isn't in it. Might have the throat and the hope, but have you got a place to pin it?
You're snapping out the auto cue. Forget the prompters. 7 valleys spanning it from
Caldecott to East to Compton.
In secondary school I chose a hip-hop option. I got my GCSE for DJ and MC. Geography couldn't tempt me to put the work in, but it helped me know the best cross-country circuit. And we'll be an earshot of you soon. So book a rural village or with lots of room for you.
Change the program. Reach out your head. Antennas. Change the program. Reach out your head.
I used to reminisce about the future. Take on the nemesis and venomous juicer. Not forgetting Bruce Lee. The undivided fruit is oh so juicy. So wear the t-shirt, buy the toys and watch the movie. My four-man quartet, arrive in a Corvette. The orchestra, following a bulletproof bus, and of course, over of the with the flow, flying over instrumentals like we leave free copy.
The last task to master time, and the body survive on the lucky rabbit's foot, hanging on until our output can match your mental outlook. Catch the real, snag your ears on a catchy loop hook. The rug from out my lyric book swooped and left your breath took. Catch your back staggering, rapping, you think the ground shook. Look a little deeper, sheep shag attack, shattered, even though it never mattered. Look out just like an anorexic cook.
I be the, however never clever. Add an MC to the beat as if a simple pinch of pepper. Find adjustment to the schedule from action men of under. Provided we decided now it's time to bring the thunder.
So tune in again next time for what you missed. Witness the 7 kids zipping across the common, and you'll be hearing a beat of modern engineering. Asphalt terrain appearing, you ain't on the steering column.
Hey yo, this is Phil Most Chill, still out to kill, and you are listening to the Pioneers Hip Hop Show presented by Whirlwind D on Kane FM. Get busy or get lost.
Kane FM 103.7, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show in full effect. Don't forget, every Monday on KNFM 9 to 11, it's the Hip Hop 2 Hours. Lots of dope shows to choose from. And of course, a massive shout out to my homeboys Jazz T and Miracle Boot Record Show every other Wednesday 9 to 11 on KNFM. Check out the Kane calendar to know exactly when the shows will be. So we find ourselves late 90s. So much fire. We open proceedings with the Numskullz first release on the newly formed Hombre label. Now, Hombre quickly became a leading force in Bristol, boasting groups such as One Cut, 100 Strong, Aspects, as well, of course, as the Numskullz, who we just heard. Now, Signs of the End, which was the track I played, was a huge tune at the time, and it really cemented Roller Rummage and Jailer Surgeon into hip-hop folklore. We then moved on to Aspects' debut, which was also on Hombre Records, and the track I played was called Gigabyters. I love that track. That was another track that just redefined the terms, in my opinion. Now, Aspects were a large crew. They featured L.I., Probe Mantis, Bubba Lou on the mic, with DJ Specify, New Balance, Nut Fury on production, and Monkey Moo on the beatbox. And very quickly they would rise and really kind of make their mark on the UK hip-hop scene, and they would start to permeate beyond. So big up Aspects crew. Now, by the late 90s, much of the scene was centered around a collection of brilliant record shops, including Purple Penguin, Prime Cuts, and of course Backyard Records. Now, I remember Backyard Records well. I remember going there, and really for me, it took me back to the days of Liberty Grooves in the mid-90s, because Backyard became an essential hangout spot with regular freestyle sessions featuring a who's who of Bristol. In fact, there's some early footage floating around on the internet of a legendary freestyle battle in the shop back in 2000. I only visited a couple of times. Wish I could have spent more time there, because it definitely had an atmosphere going on. Well worth seeking that clip out as well. Finally, we played the one and only Undivided Attention 12-inch single that came out in 1999. Now, of course, Undivided Attention, as we mentioned earlier, were a collective, really. There was a huge group of artists that recorded under the Parlour Talk, Undivided Attention, Hairy, Parents, Banner, and this particular crew or formation, Undivided Attention, featured Deed, Majesta and Beans. Absolutely brilliant 12. Now, we find ourselves getting closer to the stopping point for tonight's show, but we've still got more Bristol goodness to come. So speaking of my man Sir Beans OBE, and a huge big up to you, of course. Up next, we have his debut vinyl release, and it's a killer track with Roller called Nothing Remains.
DJ Beans. It started this way. Come on, I'll never make an attempt to stop the way that people rock. Many mock my sound, the way the world goes round. It's a profound planet, and many parts made out of granite be solid foes and grows to nothing. If it does oppose me though, it never lasts past the threshold, and then it might fold up. Cause if you think about a couple years past the day, might recall a couple crews that passed away, and at the time you might have thought it was amazing. That's the way the days change though, it's a new show. You might think it moves slow, flow back, now analyze. Might be surprised that with flows, no disguise. The glorious peoples, everybody who's living, measured in a degree of how much love they're giving. That's what matters to me. And if the planet's separated, it's guaranteed the hate made it that way. What I gotta do is sway away from that. Stick with something positive to put on a cap. Ain't a trap to keep the people down on the ground. I got a sound, crooked and profound. Nothing ever remains the same, things change, it's unarranged. Could never be anything strange. Could treat it like a cycle, but it's never identical when it reverts back. So why you try to copy? Come up with something different, maybe make a miracle. Already have it, you got something that's lyrical. All I was to say is obey your thoughts, not an impulse. And supporting the music will come natural. The surgeons in operation for the nation. I see the people wanna step back to the past of what they call the good old days. Never just a phase they blazed up into smoke. Many people gonna be joked if they get stuck or so tough they go broke. Not meaning it was right, in fact it was the best times ever, but it's never gonna happen again. What I gotta do is move on. I'm only following one path, riding on the back of a crowd. So if you really wanna turn it back, how you figure you can make the people react the same way and never get the same feeling on the second attempt and never give up? I paid my rent, put the brains together, so never will separate. As one force, we can make a fresh slate. There'll be another batch ready if you wanna wait a second. I reckon I'm begging you to stop. Nothing remains, nothing ever will be the same. Strange, even my body's aging. A second older, I'm a new man. Maybe a similar plan, but from huts into a house we progress the stress. Nevertheless, I'm gonna guess many people wanna stick with bricks. Here's a mind trick, gotta be quick. Pick something new out of a hat. Don't wanna be left flat and stuck on my back.
Vacant, don't waste them. Rap lyrics, loop a chord arrangement on the workstation. I get the burst from the sub bass, vibrating my earlobes. I get the burst when my car coughs, stutters and chugs. I'm off the Badger line at the bottom of Park Street to hear the rappers rhyme over the deep new dark beats. Bristolian MCs can rock the spot microphoneless, and European MCs are getting treated like the homeless, but we're still king of the Blaze Castle. Metaphors are a habit. We'll sign it up and have to battle the festive season. Glastonbury to Harcliffe, BR, Macca, IDS and Chrome to reach new targets, but it's bizarre. Not like the bankers rushing and dashing. We have our own ways to make the accounts balance for the city, but reside 10 miles on the outside. Ship-shape in Bristol fashion, here comes a channel tide. That's truck T with no apostrophe. Probably follow the footsteps in rapology. You don't copy me, because I'm not Hewlett Packard. Can you tell I chill there lie down at the backyard? West Country, Avon County, got a bounty in Western Supermare. There I walk where Clifton suspension and push the edge like another suicide bid. Watch it from Avon Gorge just to see how they did. See every track we make gets better than the predecessor. So many talk the money, but we are the real cheddar. The knockers who I hang, we talk that who are a slang. We throw up your banner and bend it round and bend it banner. Fantastic notes to get the votes and warm in the crowd and wear my toes. The jab line is get your coats or offer antidote to launch your boats. Opening most, I saw my romos over the fantastic funky notes of folks. Sit back, relax, just listen. We're dispersing positive transmission. No distance lane, cussing alive, death defying frying. Emphasis in my engine or preventing reproduction like a coil. Watch me foil, detectors through my false alibis. I rise through the wires, looking through my red eyes, and I despise too many highs. Create my false foresight to keep the light in sight. For reassurance, my insurance fights a fire theft and sparking on the cleft. So the track's left, fashion ship shake, creating a quake on this alien earth. Moon stepping, slide it, find it. Our thoughts are blinding my eyes with the light to ignite any carbon found compound that's flying around the ground. Bounces to the sound, energy is sleeping between the crevices, is creeping to it in a being or state. I leave your fashion ship shape. I'll leave your ship shape in Bristol fashion.
Ship shape in Bristol fashion. Ship shape in Bristol fashion. Ship shape in Bristol fashion.
KFM, more than meets the eye.
Look, a group of creatures. What are they? And what are they trying to say? Oh, Mr. Interpreter, what are they saying?
It's the Matthew, I will monster mash you. Grab you by your neck and then I disattach you. Torso from head, snap the arm, right? 2 pounds of chicken giblets, a scream, man, a super 8 frame. Them as irregular damage brains. I know a matter scrubbing can shift them blood stains off the rug. Machete your belly down like a dirty bug. I stab your missus in the shower, then I pull a plug and keep her tits in a pickle jar. Make that front room smell like fucking abattoir. That's the wizard of gore. Before you send me that whore, cover the extra pounds with a circular sword. Headaches blow, force drift like a syphilis spore. Find it difficult to speak when your tongue on the floor. Pour breadcrumbs on your nuts in a deep back fryer. Pull your teeth out with plier, tie you up with chicken wire. Dial Amnesty International, 666 torture. Come must they talk mad, and now you gonna get slaughtered. Here come the monsters.
Look at all the monsters. I've never seen such odd-looking creatures. But for some reason, I'm not afraid anymore. Look at them close. They all seem to be smiling.
Ha! I face the mirror. The monster facing me makes me shiver. My mind's a demon wool. Matron, please deliver. Mr. Merchant emerges when you unlock my puzzle box. I muzzle Grimlock, enter battle, saddle back, right in a dino bar. Who dares tread the floor? I'm in mental corridors in hell. My foul decadence redefine horrorcore. Furthermore, I'm your metaphor monster. Neither romper stomping us or the green I kinda wanna punch you at your sponsor. See other covens. We're above them, shoving slovenly warlocks into my oven. Slovenly sex digest the necronomical text. I pinched out the West journals to Lovecraft's last breath.
Confiding in the voices of the dead among the trees.
1300 AD, I dipped my quill in the crimson sea.
So we pen spent thoughts through Cthulhu Force.
Inject reanimation fluid into hip-hop's corpse.
Which vile just creature observes this night watch. Similar in features to Silverback and Sasquatch. Sketches of me are crap and unexplained almanacs. But get called a centaur in zodiac maps, Beelzebub. Mortal planes I transcend. With time, my friend, in wait for the end. From hero to villain, I've taken 1,000 forms. Fair maidens are made I of a devilish horde. I've served under kings and service princesses. Keep getting high, my employers I impress. My rent is spiraled upon the Isle of Avalon. So I lurk inside your covered and scare your young names go unsung. Though our deeds have been rewarded, we rest our backs upon the treasures we've ordered. Remarkable marquis hanging with carcasses. The aspects are enough to scare the tits of your misses.
You should feel honored because only good children are allowed to come here to talk with the happy monsters.
But why would monsters want to talk with us?
I said happy monsters, not just monsters.
Yeah. Purge your most horrible stomach churner oracle, self-appointed, disjointed anatomical structures. I sniff, snuff, stuff, suck, cliff, shining knife in my clutches. Whoops, you're ruptured from groin to gullet. Got bad style like mullet. Conduct is rugged, but you know you love it. Muffling shrieks of Victorian freaks. Let the proper red stuff leak. Have a peek inside the brothel. Awful upside all four walls. It's awful. Tidbits hung like baubles. Monsters in human shape escaping. Leather apron. Souls are mine for the raping. Slain and gaping. I hasten to add. Bloomers D-bag. Have it you slag. Rag loser. Cobble cruiser. Demented. Frequented. Hobbles when tempered and left a handful rendered. If nothing else, you ought to know this. It's all in the journal of one James Maybrick. That diarist weren't no hoaxer. Schizo cotton broker. Mind of Bram Stoker, whose bro was a composer known to royalty. 30 degrees deep in Freemasonry. Basis for conspiracy. Bask in the imagery of a basket case. Placed in a casket after last blast of arsenic.
That was wonderful. We're so happy we came here. Even if it's not for real, it's such a happy place here. monsters.
Internationally known to roam in your zone. This is Music G repping the underground army. You're now tuned in to the Pioneers Hip Hop Show with Whirlwind D on Kane FM. Nobody could do it better.
Welcome back to Kane 103.7 FM, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show. And if you've just joined us this evening, it is all about Bristol. We are focusing on the time from the early 80s to around about the turn of the millennium. And as per usual on the Pioneers Hip Hop Show, it's not an exhaustive list or story. There will always be people we can't include. What we try to do is include the main artists and the key stories, but like I say, there will always be exceptions. So big up to everybody from the Bristol scene, past and present. Now don't forget, you can catch all of our previous shows on the Whirlwind D YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe for those regular updates. And of course you can catch many of the older shows from the last 10 years or so on the Kane FM Mixcloud. So the first track we heard was Bean's debut on vinyl, which came out of the Mapache brand label, which was a subsidiary of Hombre Records. I've got to give a massive shout out to my man Beans, absolute legend in the game. Had the pleasure of working with Beans on many occasions. Such a brilliant producer and DJ. Now, this particular track was taken from the EP, as I say, Mars Attacks. The track we played was called Nothing Remains. And actually, the three tracks on the EP came from his cassette release, Tape Feast. So it was nice to see them on wax. Now, at the time in Bristol, there were a lot of underground artists putting music out on cassette before they got their record deals or before they got resources together to release their own vinyl. So there was a lot of cassette output from the likes of Sound of Fury, Chameleon MCs, and many, many more. And of course, this Beans cassette was one of those. We then moved into the first release on Mr. Fantastic's AE Productions, which featured Roller, Jailer Surge, and Dr. Chrome and Supreme Shah, to name a few. The collective, known as Alien Earth, were all West Country based, and by 1999, many were now part of the thriving Bristol scene. Now, the track itself was an ode to the city in question, why I had to play it. Also a dope track. I've got to give out a massive big up to my man Mr. Fantastic, who even put out one of my sevens recently, MDM, on AE Productions, which still exists and puts out dope music to this very day. Now, we finished off the selection with another classic Aspects track, this time featuring the legendary Welsh MC Junior Disbrol. Big ups to you, sir. And we find ourselves at this point at the turn of the millennium. That track, I should say, was called Here Come the Monsters. So at the turn of the millennium is the point where we're going to end our tale. However, I am going to play 3 more Bristol tracks because there was a lot of product coming out at the time. Of course, Aspects were really doing well, as were the Numskullz, and so there was a real bubble of quality hip-hop coming out of Bristol. So we're going to round off the Bristol selection with 3 more cuts before moving into the new music. So next up, it's the sound of 100 Strong featuring the Binary Brothers and Built to Last.
Open your eyes. I can see through it.
It's retina.
Right through it.
You know me.
The exact combination of hormones and enzymes is to be determined by analysis.
That's my chemistry.
It works.
Of course it works.
Binary.
West sun horizon, open your eyes, magnetizing. Crystalline ties to star alignment, rhyming impeccable. Oracle, damage irreparable. Orchestral maneuvers in the dark is a spark of my mental. Lifeline is prime, indivisible. Numbers critical. 100 strong is just a few when we coming through. Break hinge and bracket frames. Far from tame. Black cat from the moors, they claims that moors are main. Take aim. I deliver rapier spears to ear. Skin sears. Worse than goosebumps and a shiver. Silver rings, the only things around these slender fingers. Security scheme between dimensions in which I linger. Claim that rap was just a bandwagon day tripper. Scope all angles for 15 years of hip-hop liver. Centered on points of pressure. No measure is limitless, fathomless, fabulous. From the depths of the abyss with this. Hardness is diamond type cutter lyrics. Clearance from the spirits for you to channel through this with no interference. Take a chance, monopolize, pass go to advance. Stay verbally enhanced through herbally infused plants. Trance dance, my body shamanistic in his posture. Class A drugs prescribed from the witch doctor. Triangular optics on the elevator. Consider it now or later. The importance of the word which be the greater. Binary flow, break the code. 1 to 0 equals a binary bro. There ain't no time to do this by halves. The strength of 100, we take you under. We shine like stars and become the seventh wonder. We make the structures that's built to last.
Combine like binary math.
Binary flow, break the code. 1 to 0 equals a binary bro. Some visions of the future that come from the past. The strength of 100, we take you under. We shine like stars and become the seventh wonder. Stay on this incline, my mind ain't trapped.
Combine like binary math.
Spinning out, round and round.
Vision fragmented. More light than I've ever seen.
Get your sunglasses.
Hell with light. I still have just penetrated the surface. My eyes are not quite conditioned yet.
We'll try these out. Walking out of Babylon's yard, I want no part of it. Sick and tired of it, the bullshit. Eclipse that cool kid. Cryogenic bit to be done in chamber. Future danger, radio message to your pager. Transmission fission, scientist enlisted from the skirts to the ghetto. Lay low in dark clothes, don't wanna attract no attention. Too much faceless mention, I hate the tension. Extension of the mind is the only release. I gain a lot of peace from looking up but not for God. I'm a child of the stars, meet a lot of spars on the same path. When we talk this, it ain't for laughs. Separate wheat from chaff. Straw dogs burn fast, corners stay open. Break through your hymen like a virgin train arriving. I'm slightly off timing. Here then, antimatter shadow you to particle. Article done like ticks, correct. Check, my mouth's equipped. Tungsten tipped, anabolic flex. Complex molecular reflex. I'm checking your knee next with a hammer. Specialist like Jerry Dammer. Travel solar systems, you can test my gamma. Alpha, beta, delta, lambda, lambda, omega. Bilingual but Eric bro with the exponential formula. Whispers on the window calling ya. Sense of paranoia. Holding your head for stressing out with the soul destroyer. Binary flow, break the code. 1 to 0 equals a binary bro. Some visions of the future that come from the past.
It works.
The strength of 100, we take you under. We shine like stars and become the seventh wonder. Stay on this incline, my mind ain't trapped.
103.7 Kane FM.
Into the domain where brains are chained together to gain aim. Pinpoint, correct, wreck the set. Listeners digest the precious. Rhyme with the freshest measures to bring pain to the audience who supply the hate. We'll take that back, the date has changed. Miserable people can't affect. They claim to be correct. I got a protection, moving in the same direction. Gradually reach heights, invite shiesty people to fright me, but it strikes me up, lights me up until I erupt and buck. But I gain nothing to product. It's sort of automatic inside me, provided by the reason I write rhymes for free. Cause if I spread my soul grows inside girls and guys reaching for the same prize like me. I'm an alien MC, so these people just make contact with fact. Nothing backwards, rational, moving through the back passages to go. International programs to slam shows, keeping with the awkward style. Backbone vertebrae raises hopes on the approach to drop these passionate rhymes that will through, breaking the doors down so we can come through.
You don't know which way to turn. I'll hold to the sides where your stomach churns, and I'll provide the void and the chance to learn. Replace the seeds of hate with a newfound germ. Squirm in your seats with feet, worm to the floor, explore to find a door and discover lyrics are pure, the shot is sure. Elijah in tune to the new Star Wars. I the one with a skillet, you need to fill it. Enhance these words until they end. Right Ben sense, all be on the barrel course. Stop a before starting and leaving or in starting. Dodging and darting through the middle of the charting. The fighting and the barking, the walking and the hiking. The foes are not liking, can we be more exciting? Something's not right and we're drumming on tin cans. Searching through bins and writing about the day that comes beyond a lifespan. And the things we say, see I don't really care if you can't hear. This isn't just for the converted ears. The fears or the jeers or the new ideas. It's the way it's digested over many years.
I feel the struggle the people who put in the work, keeping the measure of the treasure tight to insert. For her, my feelings in the way they treat us like dust, brushing us off stage for better wages. Minimal, people like us don't get trusted, crushed into 15 minutes to get dusted. Done, get out of the way for the famous. If we're getting mad and stab, you can't blame us. I keep it contained and strain myself, give it the best possible under the pressure of the fest. But this is vicious enough, which is enough for me, so I calm down with a cup of tea.
Stop talking like you know what I mean. I've seen it pretend, and the real. I've almost seen the appeal of a record deal. Not content to be that still on the podium. Throw me back the ball, attack back acidity, sodium, corroding slowly. See as I strike, enough to make the most professional fall from the mic. I like to confuse us all. What the views now? Who'll be the first to blow the fuse? Become last year's news. Don't bruise easily. I will last long, emerging from the floor, not giving a fuck. The battle between simplicity and complexity is not enough. Fuck harder on that cigar, sir. Only to see my fist hit the bench much harder. Sit back and watch those fake folks trapped in their own bathtub.
Apply the effort to the correct point to make an effect check. The lateral line is fine-tuned to blind. And in the background we're making a noise that can't be ignored. It's stored up into horns to break out, eliminate and not even a trace. Chase rhythm into the front, close case. Cause I'll be the R from the bizarre area. Very enough and keep it up on the top where there's no bluffing.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
you're listening to Kane 103.7 FM.
Yeah, it's about that time. Yo, this council estate, it could have been rhyming business over any rapper that you see on telly. Thorough like R. Kelly, water sport and an escort in the face. Soldier click and churro with the junkies on the bass. A different kind of bass, where the sound is the master. Turn the volume up and watch us get up like asthma. This panic of rap, in this panic attack, has me spitting out rhetoric like I'm blacking for crack. But I'm not a crackhead, thank God. But the ghetto life of Uncle Junior states, where your state of mind is what can pull you through. Kids of all races stomping with the hoods up, with black gloves and don't give a f***, looking for the next rug. Play these tunes and clear your passengers like cough sweets. You can't free phone soldier click, so call on off peak. Better yet use the internet, go online and then you get a dose of our rhythms to inspect. So play this defecation, funky like a soul sensation. Back shot on the gal to Hendrix, head deep in the basin. Another girt like word like a farmer but with armor. Displacing catchphrases and plus some how's your father. Braggadocious politics where the orishes for peace and sunshine entwine. Yeah, the era of the breast. The era of the breast, of the breast, of the breast, of the breast, the era of the breast.
Check this. We didn't come to beg friendships, just put our hearts in song whilst you get your party on. Words so strong could be hardly wrong. But Kelz along with me, of course he start the song. Bitter veterans return to NH, not that we ever left it for long. Check for back catalogues, now we've already moved on. 10 steps past that, we outlast that. Pro-black / white trash, unsurpassed, outclassed. Shout last, it sound class. Never outdated, unsigned, unsung, and still underestimated. Off the rocker, tatted like Chopper. Romper, stomper, looking like Mike Monster. Thought you knew we pronounced our words with You heard? Like sheep, could never be weak with speech. Unlike arrested development in verse, slightly disturbed. Lurk beneath the dirt like a shit pipe. Covered with earth, quick wipe your eyes and clean out your ears. Cause two of the best vets from the southwest are still nice with the verbs.
Plus I'm nice with the words as we take you up high and make you fly with the birds. Serving up a fresh dish is one last mission. I've been cool back to class with a blast of ambition. To vary the flavor, the favors return. I turned around the whisper, your history's just been burned. With a triple dose of professional, wrestling your weapons of war, enticing me back for more. I've seen the beam of light and follow. It's all been done before, so you borrow. It's a counterfeit of sorrow. My tonic's a bionic plague. I'm using sonic sounds on solid ground, unwound and invade to crush the master and put the data. Flip the mic for the fader. You should have stayed ahead of relevance. Developments have been made in the porch. We pass the torch, but it's too hot, you get scorched. Fortunately, we can reclaim this. Who can blame us? Never trained for famous, uncaught, you can't tame us. And aiming for the same level heads, but my destiny gets to be called in the shots with blocks. Oxygen rush, much better for benefit. And if there's a invisible gas dashed ahead of it, quick, you take the aim, but the target is missed. Cause we feel the bliss, hiss, the era of the briss.
Hey yo, Fatal is merciful and they curse me. Yo, this is Joe Fatal, aka the God Merciful, and I'm here with Whirlwind D and the Pioneer Radio Show, baby. You heard?
Kane 103.7 FM, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show. And if you've just joined us, we're coming to the end of our Bristol story. It's been an incredible journey. We focused on the years from the early 80s to around about year 2000. Now, we rounded things off nicely with three cuts from that very end era that I mentioned. First up was 100 Strong's Built to Last, which featured the Binary Brothers. Now, 100 Strong was Ben DeBuisson of trip hop crew Purple Penguin. And of course the Binary Brothers who featured on that track were Retna and Jamie Hombre, who was the owner of Hombre Records, and of course Mapache Brand as well, because that was the Hombre sister label. Next up, we move to all-round b-boy producer MC Awkward, who was another regular at Backyard Records back in the days, and one of his early tracks taken from his debut EP on High Noon. I think it only got a CD release, but it's a dope release, and it was a track called Vertebrae Part 2, which also featured the omnipresent and rightfully so Roller Rock. Finally, we rounded off our story with what is a very pertinent track. It actually inches beyond 2000, but I wanted to play this one because I felt it was right for the final track on the show, and that is a track, not surprisingly, called Era of the Briss. That was Churro featuring Kelz and Roller, and it really sums up what tonight is all about, celebrating that Bristol culture. Now, that track never officially came out. I believe it was going to come out on Aerosolic Records, but in the end didn't. You can actually get a free download of that over at Rustic Records. That's my man Rummage's Roller's label, and they got lots of other free downloads on there, well worth checking out, particularly from a Bristol perspective. So, as I said earlier on the show, there are a great many other wonderful Bristol acts we haven't covered on tonight's show. We can never cover everything. We will come back to it at some point, because post-2000, there's so much more history we would have liked to tell. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, we come to the end of our Bristol section. Let me remind you that my man Specific will be back in the mix next month. We'll let you know what the focus of the show is nearer the time. We're about to move into our brand new music section, as is customary at this point in the show. So So we've got 4 absolute killer cuts to play. First up, we got Sam Kratz's new venture. He's got some great artists on this track. The track is called Culture and it's huge. We're then going to move into my man Figure of Speech, speaking of Bristol peeps, with a track called Stand Firm from his brand new album. You can go and get that on Bandcamp. In fact, I think both Sam Kratz and Figure of Speech's records are available on Bandcamp. Sam Kratz is through the Revorg label Bandcamp page, and Figure of Speech has his own Bandcamp page. Grab those releases now, they're essential. We're then going to move into my man Soul Condor. Big respects to my man Del Soul Condor, as I say, going through an incredibly tough battle. Absolutely loved by the hip hop community, and you know, he's not only has he been fighting this incredibly tough battle, he's managed to find the time to launch his label Soul Condor Slices, which is an absolutely brilliant label. Every release a winner, and he's got 2 brand new records just dropping now. I believe they're sold out actually, so you might have to hit up Dale for one of his personal copies if you want one. But the next track you hear will be Condor Consortium, and a track about cancer. I can't say the title obviously because we're on Kane FM, but it's a track telling cancer where to go, absolutely. And then we move into Soundside, Raise Them High, which is the next release on the label. So dedicate this show to my man Del Soul Condor. Big up to you, sir. It's been great to have you along. Remember, the Pioneers Hip Hop Show is once a month on a Monday, 9 to 11 p.m. Check out the Kane FM website to see exactly when we are and when we're on. We're back in a month's time. I'm going to leave you with the incredible sounds of Sam Kratz and Culture.
Sam Kratz. Craig G, Craig G, Craig G, Craig G. Queens, New York City, to the United Kingdom. Yeah. Give it to him. You know, man, I'm from a different time and place, man, where you really had to have skills to do this, man. Whether it was DJing, graffiti, b-boying, or MCing, man. It's like the game ain't the same no more, man, you know? Let's have a conversation with him. I used to love her, now at home I hide under the covers. Afraid of what's happening here, we need another way to display these skills that ran prevalent from another era. The 90s is what I represent. You had to know how to command the microphone, the stage or the studio, a flow with a type of tone. Auto-tune was left up to Zapp and Roger. Our voice was our calling card, persona stayed larger than anything these guys do now. It's all similar. How many different ways can I talk about killing ya? Nothing original, from beats to the vocal tone. Offer you a payment for publishing that you hope to own. 360 deals where the label takes your merchandise. Sign a wrong contract, it could really hurt your life. Think about it before you deal with vultures. The game ain't the same, they exchange fame for culture.
I do this for my culture, to let them know. I represent the real hip hop. I do this for my culture, let them know. Hip-hop and rap, yeah, that's where my heart's at. I do this for my culture, to let them know. I represent the real hip hop. I do this for my culture, to let them know. Hip-hop and rap, yeah, that's where my heart's at.
Sit back and reminisce over you, missing when we were this close. So what's a kid supposed to do, knowing this old's a bit overdue? The leader of the new school busts a rhyme with a flip mode salute as we celebrate levels many say they couldn't emulate. Never mate, we're talking a decade of some heavyweights. Who made you listen clear? Cause them days were different there, where you were bound to hear some brand new flavor in your ear. This jock so new to this, it's gonna stay as it was. The only thing these kids would wanna play while the rich lot started bidding Slipknot, Good Day and Quick Rock, break dancing to hip hop parade. The fashion lean towards baggy tees and saggy jeans. Magazines printed images of the graphic scene. Ghetto boys and girls with organized confusion would cross borderlines, immortalizing movement of the culture.
I do this for my culture, to let them know. I represent the real hip hop. I do this for my culture, to let them know. Hip-hop and rap, yeah, that's where my heart's at. I do this for my culture, to let them know. I represent the real hip hop.
Kane FM.
Switch the speakers on, so woofer and the tweeters on. Cooling out when the beat is on, when the heat is on we radiate. Old school radiator with the heavyweight we educate. Knowledge emanates, it's to innovate, it's to elevate, we're in a state. In the state when we're in a state, for what the state stays, either out of touch or just don't care. How did it take a pandemic to see inequalities, man, that's pathetic. Ain't no big news if you're so-called ethnic. Big news, Bojo interested. It serves the best, nevertheless. Life is a test, life is a quest. Dismissed and a miss, but persist. Through the twists and turns we resist. Stand firm. Stand firm, got my feet in it. Stand firm, sister, I'm feeling it. Stand firm, got my feet in it. Stand firm, stand firm. Stand firm, stand firm, don't turn round. This ain't go back, but I stand ground. This is my world, so damn it, it's my town. I won't hold back, no I won't go down. This is a showdown, you understand, clown? I may be featherweight, but taking out the heavyweights. Watch me levitate, stresses evaporate. Try to assassinate, good luck, mate. Stand firm, got my feet in it. Stand firm, sister, I'm feeling it. Stand firm, sister, I'm feeling it. Stand firm, stand firm.
What have we done? What have we got? What have we got? What have we done? What have we done? What have we got? What have we got? What have we done? What have we done? What have we got? What have we got? What have we done? What have we done? What have we got?
Kane 103.7 FM.
I wanna say hello to my sister. Tell her that I love her, tell her that I really miss her. There's this pain that always sits here, I can't shift it. Remembering all the good times just might fix it. Therapy for my sanity. This disease doesn't believe in a family. Brutal and emotionless, life changing. Taking away all of my energy, it's life draining. I nearly lost my brother a couple of years back. We were told it was the end, it was looking really near that. But my bro was a fighter, he told me he had the answer. He stayed mentally strong and said, oh, cancer. There's really no way of knowing if it's coming, but the one thing I know is that it won't catch me running. Shout out to Dal, stick the middle finger up and fight it. You've given me the strength to face this first and right it. Cancer. 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 Hey yo, serious talk, but still dope for dancers. Feel most chilling effect of cancer. We don't need tears for fears, just answers on how to beat it. Scientific advances, since philosophies of Hippocrates. Corporations push hypocrisies, while patients are paying exorbitant doctor fees. It might be cool for them, but it's not for me. Stand strong with the struggle, be there for your sister, your brother. Time to have love for one another. Keep your vibe positive, when I know it's so easy to feel the opposite. Being positive's an accomplishment, but the beats and the rhymes are dope to make you feel good, so it never takes your hope. Get on down to the sound, and on my last note, peace to the Black Panther, yeah, of cancer. 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 Cancer.
Oh, this cancer. Step to the rear, you ain't welcome over here. Get the fuck out of here. Our blood cells are strong and the weight is gone. If it's war that you want, then it's war that is on. Doctors, scientists, we're all on a mission. You against the whole of the world, no competition. Come to my neck of the woods and you get lynched. Dragged into the streets and left in the bins, where you'll be set fire to along with your family. Over 100 different types of cancer you're required to breathe, but you won't survive, I guarantee it. A gift from the devil to the earth, we don't need it. Keep it, you're now in our element. Meaning, keep your eyes open so it's best you don't see. Cause you won't be awake to see the morning. No play none of your tricks with metamorphin as you change how you're performing.
See for forever, yeah. Right now, I'm out England, fresh out of Ghana, listening to the Pioneers of Hip Hop show on the Kane FM with a man like Whirlwind D and a man like DJ Miracles. Skane.
Rock on, Alativa, rock on, Oxygen, we rock on, rock on, you George, rock on, Johnny Cuban, we rock on, Southside, we rock on. Yo, you're feeling the vibe, you're feeling it on. The Southside here, get it, set it, respond. Now with this feel good, now it's so understood. We just gonna rock it and lock it and set the mood. Yes, you know, go with the flow, feel it to your toes. To my B-boys and girls in and around the globe now. Raise them high up to the sky. And if you're doing it good, oh my mind, the funkified beat. Junkie, not a funky, not a dummy. Twist my flow as I go with a shot of the brass monkey. It's that hip hop, yes, we got it, yo, guess you want it. Certified dope, the crew was on it, doggone it. Don't have to flaunt it, it's so natural. With the style, peep the profile, and when you dial, the crew up for the good time to get you listening. Now raise them hands high to the group that gets you kicking.
People in the back, you're where you at.
And all the ones up front, you feeling the track.
To all the heads on the right, you doing alright.
Now what about you on the left, you good tonight?
Well, if you love Southside, then raise them high.
And if you gotta like cool,
then blaze the sky.
And if you love Southside, then raise them high. Come on, raise them high. Come on, raise them high.
Whether 5 fingers or 10, elevate them. Just get your mind right as we drop the verbatim. We're taking it back to the feel-good method, when heads came to party and crowds were not separate. So check it, it ain't no room for squares, and it's a fact our unit's way better than theirs. Southside, 5 different textures. We bring the basics and kill them with the extras, cause we are superior gents of 2 continents condensed, leaving competition real tense. Some oxygen, 5/5 human, fly shit booming. My acumen will outlast you men. Stamina, 10K sensei, classic butter like Sergio Valente. Mi gente, lending ear and tune us in. You better throw them hands high in unison.
All the people in the back, yo, where you at?
And all the ones up front, you feeling the track?
To all the heads on the right, you doing alright?
Know what about you on the left? You good tonight?
Well, if you love Southside, then raise them high.
And if you gotta like cool,
then blaze the sky.
And if you love Southside, then raise them high. Come on, raise them high. Come on, raise them high. Stick them up, keep them hot, don't be shy. We gonna rip it up and kill it, but the song won't die. From the archives, but we still getting busy. I wanna last like my name was Louis or Dizzy. Got the fans in the tizzy, now frenzy. You stay trendy, we create the trend. See, I be one of the 3 mighty men. Come test me, well alrighty then, you best take your vitamin. But in the meantime, audience participation. Everybody keep them up until your arms aching, until your back breaking. You've been forewarned, don't be forsaken. Keep that body shaking, Brazilian or Jamaican, no discrimination. Just look at what you're facing. To tell you the truth, it ain't about the booth for the effect. I see how the crowd just put it up like a reflex. Come on.
Now all the people in the back, yo, where you at?
And all the ones up front, you feeling the track?
To all the heads on the right, you doing aight?
Now what about you on the left? You